Thorn is an exotic hand cannon that you get from a lengthy and difficult bounty that does damage over time. So is it worth your exotic slot? Let's take a look. So in the first tree, you start off with accurized ballistics, which gives you more range and impact, increased recoil. This is a solid sight, but I choose a different one. But it's nice for those who like to sit back and shoot a little bit slower, but fire off shots from a distance. The next upgrade is Field Choke, more range and impact, increased recoil. I don't go with this one because I don't like to decrease the stability on Thorn. I like to maximize it, which is why I go for aggressive ballistics. This one gives us more predictable recoil, enhanced impact, shorter range, and more recoil. Although the stability stat on the gun actually increases, so that's why I go with this one, because it increases the stability. It does hurt the range, but that's okay for me because I usually use hand cannons in short to mid-range situations. The next perk is Final Round. The last round in the magazine deals bonus damage. Now, I find that I don't use this as much for two reasons. One, Thorn has a 9-round clip and I don't always get to it when I'm killing enemies. And two, because I just reload really often. It's just a habit I have in playing first-person shooters. I reload as often as I can, so a lot of times I don't get to this perk, and that's my fault. But it is nice for when I'm unloading into a target. I get that nice 33% damage bonus in the last round. In the next tree of upgrades, we have Snapshot. Aiming this weapon is incredibly fast. I find that this one doesn't make too much of a difference, and I don't go with it because the other two upgrades do make a difference. And when I changed from this upgrade to the others, I didn't really notice a difference in my ADS time. So the next perk we have is Send It. This is a lot like accurized ballistics. It'll increase your range, and it's for those players that like to sit back, like to pick people off from a distance in PvP, like to shoot at enemies from a distance in PvE. And the final upgrade is Perfect Balance. This is the one I go with because I'm a stability whore, and with this gun, you'll see that it has a higher than average rate of fire. So I like to take advantage of that, and I like to shoot as fast as I can, and Perfect Balance allows me to make those shots accurate. And finally, we have the AIDS perk, Mark of the Devourer. Rounds pierce targets and cause lingering damage over time. This is what Thorn is all about. Thorn is all about shooting targets and spreading AIDS all over the place, and it does it really well with this perk. This perk is what makes the gun special. It makes it exotic, and this is the reason why you want it. Mark of the Devourer is awesome. Before I start talking about my experience with Thorn, let me just say that I really like hand cannons. I've used many rare and legendary hand cannons, and I've also used Hawkmoon. Now, like I said before, Thorn is all about spreading AIDS everywhere. The gun is built around Mark of the Devourer. But if we take away that perk, what we're left with is a 9-round hand cannon with a higher than average rate of fire and stability, which is great, but it's only 9 rounds, as compared to other hand cannons that have 12 or 13, like Fatebringer and Hawkmoon. Clip size is really important for PvE because it allows you to kill more enemies and do more damage to bigger targets. And in PvE, I find that I don't take advantage of the higher fire rate very much because I'm trying to take my time and I'm going for precision shots. But that doesn't mean that no one else can take advantage of the high rate of fire and be accurate. I'm just saying it's a little bit harder. Now, what if we pop Mark of the Devourer back into the equation? Not much changes. That's because in a lot of situations, Mark of the Devourer doesn't make a difference. For example, you headshot a Dreg and he dies. Did Mark of the Devourer help? Nope. Any other hand cannon would do the exact same thing. On the bright side, if you shot the Dreg in the stomach, he'd still die in one shot because of the dot damage. So that's nice that in some situations, Thorn is less punishing if you don't hit a precision shot. But at the same time, the Dreg will still take a couple of seconds to die because it's damage over time. And that's one of the problems with the damage over time. It almost feels like Thorn wants me to shoot a target and move on to another one before that one dies, just so Dot can take it down. That's a problem for me because I've learned to do the exact opposite. I've learned to shoot one target until it dies, so that that one thing stops shooting at me, and I have less things shooting at me at one time. With Thorn, it feels like you should do the opposite, like I said, and just shoot that target, switch, shoot another one, switch, shoot another one, and then just let the dot kill them in a couple of seconds. But the problem with that is if you mess it up and you leave one enemy on like a little bit of health left, he can still kill you. He'll still do normal damage to you. It doesn't make a difference. It seems pointless and it seems just difficult for no reason. It seems like I should just shoot one target until he dies. But if I do that, I feel like I'm wasting Mark of the Devourer. And while we're on the subject of lower tier enemies, Mark of the Devourer's piercing effect makes Thorn a great thrall killer since they're usually bunched up together. But it's not the only hand cannon that can easily deal with thrall. Any hand cannon with Firefly, like Fatebringer, can easily dispatch of a group of thrall, and the thrall don't even have to be lined up together. They just have to be close enough so that the explosion will kill them. However, with Firefly, you'll have to get a precision shot. All in all, Mark of the Devourer seems very situational, and when I'm not in one of those situations, it feels like I'm just holding any old 9-round hand cannon, which isn't bad, but it doesn't feel exotic. Now I know that it sounds like I'm being harsh on this weapon and that I don't like it because it's so situational, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Let me explain. If I were to poll all Guardians and ask them what's their most hated enemy, I'm sure that most of them would say wizards. Everyone hates wizards, but not Thorn. Thorn loves wizards. I'm sure you can recall many times during the summoning pits, you shoot a wizard, take down its shields, only for him to fly into cover and out of sight. And he just regens his shields. This is super frustrating because it feels like you just wasted ammo. But Thorn shuts that shit down. When you shoot a wizard and his shield comes down, he goes into cover, the dot will keep ticking, and because of it, his shields won't be able to recharge, giving you the time to run up on him and shoot him in the face, or stay back and toss a grenade over there and finish him off. The same can be done with captains in the Devil's Lair strike, or the same can be done with a Minotaur. You can shoot him and run away, reload, stay in cover, regen your health while damage ticks on him, preventing his void shield from coming back up. This is very useful in strikes, and even useful in the raids as well. So yes, Mark of the Devourer is situational, but in those situations, Thorn kicks ass like no other. In addition, Mark of the Devourer does add up and somewhat makes up for only having 9 shots in the chamber, since those targets will take additional damage over time. Before I talk about Thorn in PvP, let me put a disclaimer out there. I'm really not a PvPer. I only go in there for the marks and reputation and bounties. I'm not in there a whole lot. I'm just an average player. I'm not anything amazing. I do have good games, but I also have bad games. That being said, Thorn is without a doubt my favorite hand cannon to use in the Crucible. I really like the fire rate, I really like the accuracy, I really like the dot damage, because human players are just like wizards. They take some damage and they go into cover sometimes, but with Thorn, they take damage while in cover, which prevents their shields from recharging, and if they don't die from it, I can toss a grenade or run up on them and just blast them with my shotgun. And Thorn's the only weapon in the game that allows me to do that, which is why I like the weapon so much. In a game where the biggest difference between a good hand cannon and a bad one is the amount of rounds in a clip, it's nice to have one like Thorn that truly feels unique. That's why I ultimately think that Thorn is worth the exotic spot in your arsenal. If you get the bounty for this weapon, I highly suggest completing it and maxing out Thorn. It's a great hive killer, it wrecks face in the Crucible, and it's an all-around good gun. I know it's a little bit situational, but it's really fun to use, and it looks badass too. So that's it for this weapon review. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, or just like it since this is my first video ever, and that'd be sweet since I've done this commentary more times than I can count. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below if you have Thorn and what you think about it, as well as subscribe for more Destiny content in the future. Until next time, Overman out.